Hello. In this video, I'm reading a poem called 5-Card Stud. 4 men they stood at the table. Each pulled out a chair, then sat down. They all had eyes as mad as sable. Each one had a face like a clown. The dealer took out his deck of cards, shuffled them up, then dealt them out. Not one tale did on his face mar, only calm did his demeanor shout. The players, they examined their hands, puckered their lips, then placed their bets. These gamblers, the best in the land, each assured of his victory, and yet the men found at the end of the game, the cards they laid down were jokers. These gentlemen were never the same after that little hand of poker. And insert rim shot here. This poem is got a story behind it. One that's 30 years in the making that I didn't realize until a couple days ago. So, getting the old Wayback Machine, early 20s, I'm in college. It was a spring day, and I'm walking to go off campus, and as I go by get near the old admin building, the admin and business building, which is no longer there. They tore that down a long time ago. I'm going to the parking lot and walking across the parking lot, I see someone I knew. It's woman, young woman, girl that I was acquainted with. I'd had a class with her my second semester, the spring of '91. I had a class with her, history class, and she wrote. I knew she wrote because we hung out occasionally in the student center and stuff. Her name was Michelle. I've talked about her in several of my videos. She was walking across. This was before we started really hanging out and became friends. She was walking across the parking lot, and I ran into her, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" So we started talking and everything, and I asked her what she was doing, and we ended up going back to her car and going to Cadden Creek Settlement Park it's near Conway, Arkansas, along the Arkansas River, and going to go smoke a joint. So I was like, yeah, I didn't like smoking it by myself, and with a girl to boot, yay, Well, I knew she wrote and everything, so we started talking poetry, and I handed her this poem I'd written that I thought, I was excited about. Of course, I was excited about everything at the time, and it was called Dr. Pepper. And she read it, and she commented on this one image, mad of sable, and it was the third line in the first verse at the end of it, or the first stanza, and right there at the end of that line. And I'd meant to write, and this was handwritten, made, and I just forgot the E, but she was thought it was so cool, mad of sable, thought it was really cool, and I had this knee-jerk, and I emphasized the word jerk, reaction, and I told her, I was probably a little embarrassed, airs with a girl, all the other stuff, just yada yada yada, youth, ignorance, and all that stuff. So I kind of, when I think back on it, I kind of got the impression that I kind of offended her there just for a split second, and of course, if she'd have kicked me out of the car, I'd have been stuck out in the middle of nowhere. Probably would have deserved it, but it smoothed over and everything, and I told her what it was, and blah blah blah. So long story short, we became friends, and fast forward to a couple days ago, and for some reason This is, what is today? Today is the 26th of March, 2023. So I'm recording this video, and for some reason, that poem popped in my head. I don't have a copy of the original because Moves lost it. Insert reason here. But I remembered the gist of it, the images and stuff in it, and the cadence and the rhyme and all that stuff. I remembered a lot of it, and I was like, well, maybe I should rewrite it. Maybe I should write it down. So I was thinking, I got to that part where made of sable, and then instantly that memory of Michelle really loving Mad of Sable came into mind, and I was like, yeah, I gotta use that. And that's when I changed it to Mad as Sable, as Mad as Sable. So, Michelle, you're one of my oldest and dearest friends. And from the bottom of my heart, I humbly apologize 30 years later for being a jerk to you. So, now, apologies over. Let's get into this a little bit. This is a very cynical poem. I was kind of really cynical, starting to get really cynical back then. Still cynical in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's there's not too much of a deep meaning to this poem. I like the images, and in it, Puckered. Well, to get back to the original title, was Dr. Pepper, and we used to play a card game when we were kids called Dr. Pepper, and it was 2s, 4s, and 10s for wild. And I don't know if any of you seen watching this remember, but the old really heavy glass bottles that they used to put sodas in that you'd like collect and collect up for, you can get like a quarter a piece for them. On those bottles, on the logo on the Dr. Pepper bottles, they have Dr. Pepper's in a circle, and they'd had a 2, a 4, and a 10. That's where we got the game from. At least that's how I remember it. I haven't played that in years. So that's how I originally got the game. Originally got the original title, 5-card stud. I changed it to that because it's a more recognizable game. Everybody knows what 5-card stud is, and it's like more impactful stud. Studs in your walls and all that stuff. And then you got the 4 players. We're all players in this game. It's gamble, a game of life, that we all, and then I got, of course, the image as Mad as Sable, and each one of his face of the clown, because we're all clown faces, and I kind of got this image in my head of 4 guys, clowns, kind of got clown makeup. Each one has a different type of emotion on it. On the table, there's chips strewn out, and the cards you see turned up, face up, are all jokers. And then the dealer is kind of like enshadowed. He's got a deck of cards in his hand, and they're kind of, kind of shriveled up a little bit. That's the image I've got in my head when I think about this, or it's basically life. It turns out to be a big joke. Everybody gets jokers. That's the way it can be interpreted. And you can be the best player at whatever you are. You're sure to victory every time, but in the end, you're going to lose. In the end, the trick's on you. But we end up playing the trick on ourselves. Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? Anyways, tell me what you think about it. I really like this poem. It's got that sing-songy feel to it. you know, playful, and it's got the little rim shot at the end. So thank you for watching to the end. I hope you got something out of this. Give me a like, thumbs up thingy. Subscribe, share, tell your friends, all that stuff us YouTubers, content makers say, because, you know, we sincerely mean we do this to share this with you. You hear it all the time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah, and hi Michelle, bye Michelle.